It's my privilege again today to share another Wednesday devotional with you. I'm so glad to have that privilege. I was thinking recently about when I was a child. Most of us as children, at one time or the other, played a game called Follow the Leader. Maybe we played it in the playground, Follow the Leader, or in the neighborhood, Follow the Leader. In the woods, Follow the Leader. And it was a fun game, at least it was for me. But like most kids, when we were playing Follow the Leader, after a while I got tired of following the leader. I wanted to be the leader. And so it seemed like we would take turns being the leader whenever someone would let us. I read again the words of Jesus recently in John chapter 10, where he compares his followers to sheep. There are many, many things we can learn from that comparison. But I looked in verse 27 of John chapter 10. Jesus said, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and listen, and they follow me." That's what I want us to think about for a few minutes today. They follow me. When we stop to think about how simple the Christian life should be, we should have no problem at all living the Christian life. All we have to do is follow him. He said, "They follow me." The comparisons to sheep are very easy to make. I think of this. If I'm in a flock of sheep, the shepherd has a right to lead me. The shepherd owns me, or the shepherd has been given authority over me. As Christians, we belong to the chief shepherd. As Christians, he has bought us. He has redeemed us. He has purchased us by his own blood. He has a right to lead us. We should therefore follow him. Secondly, a shepherd knows the way. The sheep, if you remember, sheep would need a lot of food, need a lot of grass, but they would look downward when they were feeding. By looking downward, they would take a little bite, take another step, take a bite, but they would not know where they were going. They needed to follow the shepherd because the shepherd knew the way. They didn't know where the next green pastures were. They didn't know where the next cool waters were. They needed to follow the shepherd because he knew the way. Doesn't our shepherd know the way? He knows the future. He knows the dangers. He knows what is good ahead. He knows what is dangerous ahead. He knows the way. He sees the mountains. He sees the barriers. He sees those things that would hurt us. He sees the dangers. I think about others that follow. We have military people who are expected to follow their leaders. We have teams who are expected to follow their coaches. And we certainly should be expected to follow our leader. Jesus said, "They follow me." I think of this. A shepherd knows the safest way. This goes along with knowing the way. But he would know where the dangers were. He would know where the predators were. He would know the things that might cause the sheep harm. And so does our shepherd. What a joy it is to know that Jesus lived on earth. Jesus experienced many of the things that we experience. He understands how we think as humans. And he knows the safest way. He said, "My sheep follow me." A shepherd then, as he's leading the way, goes before the sheep. He walks in front of the sheep. If you were to find a group of sheep, a flock of sheep coming over a hill, they would be led by their shepherd. The shepherd doesn't follow the sheep. The shepherd doesn't even really walk alongside of the sheep. With the sheep, he walks ahead of the sheep. He leads the sheep. So it is with our great shepherd. He leads us. He goes where we should go. He steps where we should step. He says, "My sheep follow me." One of the things I like about being a sheep is this. If I am truly a sheep that follows my shepherd, I won't have many problems. Sometimes we think the Christian life is hard, And there are things that are hard about it. But it should not be hard when our main goal is following the shepherd. There can be dangers, but we're following the shepherd. He knows those dangers. Following the shepherd involves trusting him. A lady came to me recently after I had conducted a funeral service, and she had known me from actually attending another funeral service at a different time. And she began to share with me some of the problems she was having trusting Jesus. And her problems came because she was afraid to trust. We have no need to be fearful. We have a great shepherd. He knows the way. He leads the way. We as his sheep must follow him. I think the Israelites, when they were going into the promised land, at first they followed Moses, who was following God, but they got to the promised land, and instead of following their leader, instead of following God, they listened to those naysayers, those negative reports. And they wasted 40 years wandering in the wilderness. In fact, that generation died off and did not even get to go to the promised land. The disciples of Jesus were wise to follow him. He knew where to go. He knew what was next. He knew what town they needed to be in. They followed him. And it's the same with us. Jesus said, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." Today, are you following the Lord? Today, let's not go our own way. Let's not try to figure things out ourselves. Let's take the right way, the simple way. Let's follow our Savior. Have a wonderful day.